Roll Credits, where movie lovers get the trivia they didn't know they needed. This podcast was created with help from AI tools, so double-check any quotes before you drop trivia at your next movie night. Today, we're saying goodbye to one of the most outrageous franchises ever made with Jackass. Best and Last, a celebration of pain, friendship, and the insanity that somehow kept audiences laughing for over 25 years.
It really is such a wild milestone to be at, you know?
Oh, totally. But before we get into the glitz of this major Hollywood farewell, I kind of want you to picture a scene with me for a second.
Okay, set the stage.
So imagine stepping in front of a really cheap, grainy camera. It's 1998. You strap on a Kevlar vest padded with, nothing but a few dirty magazines.
Oh, man.
Right, and then you shoot yourself in the chest point blank with the .38 caliber handgun.
Which is just, it's terrifying.
Exactly. It's this deeply ill-advised stunt. But didn't just end up as some forgotten blurb in a skateboarding magazine. It literally launched a billion-dollar comedy empire.
It's crazy to think about.
It really is.
Yeah.
So today we are doing a deep dive into the behind-the-scenes interviews, the director commentaries, and these raw retrospective archives to understand something pretty wild.
Yeah, how a group of guys who literally weaponized their own bodies managed to create something, well, profoundly beautiful.
Yes. And it's such a fascinating paradox to unpack.
No, absolutely. Because when you look at the landscape of major Hollywood film franchises, there's this unwritten rule for a sequel.
Oh, for sure. Everything has to get bigger.
Right. Especially a final installment. Everything has to scale up exponentially. Like, if you blew up a car in part 1, the studio demands that you blow up a city block in part 5. The stakes just must constantly rise.
But for Jackass, scaling up has always meant pushing human endurance, physical pain, and, the absolute outer limits of taste to the edge of sanity.
Which is a high bar.
Seriously. Where do you even go after you've already launched a man inside a portable toilet full of waste hundreds of feet into the air?
You really can't go much further. So for Best and Last, the crew did something completely unexpected. They actually stepped backward.
Yeah, they kind of regressed in a way.
They did. And the format they chose for this final bow is, it's quite brilliant. It is a genuine hybrid.
Which is super unique for a movie like this.
Totally. It's essentially half brand new stunts featuring the original crew alongside the newer cast, and half a retrospective digital scrapbook.
Right, they went back into their archives.
Exactly. They pulled out previously unseen footage and just seamlessly combined it with the new material. And what that accomplishes on screen is this literal, unavoidable passing of time right before your eyes.
It's so jarring, honestly.
It is, because in the blink of an eye, you're looking at their young, fresh, invincible 20-something faces from the original MTV series. And then the film cuts.
And suddenly you are staring at their current bodies.
Yeah, bodies that are graying, sagging, and just mapped with the physical scars and tattoos of the past quarter century.
It's honestly like flipping through a high school yearbook. If your high school happened to involve, tasing your friends, getting bitten by wild animals, and projectile vomiting on a regular basis.
That is exactly what it feels like.
But what really strikes me is that they don't try to hide the mileage on those bodies. There's no de-aging CGI here.
No, not at all.
There's no Hollywood makeup trying to make Johnny Knoxville or Steve-O looks 25 again.
And that sets a tone that is incredibly rare for a major studio release. It's this profound acknowledgement of mortality. They are leaning entirely into their age.
Well, they kind of have to, right?
Yeah, you have to remember the physical reality these guys are living with now. During the filming of 2022's Jackass Forever, Johnny Knoxville was violently rammed by a bull.
Oh, man, that footage is so hard to watch.
It's brutal, and he suffered a severe brain hemorrhage from it. Because of that, serious head trauma is officially off the table for him. He simply cannot take those hits anymore.
So instead of pretending he still can, he adapts. In the new stunts for this movie, he acts as this tuxedo-clad, bow-tied master of ceremonies.
He really is like a maniacal, gray-haired Peter Pan.
Yes,
Yeah.
Just directing the chaos from the sidelines, watching guys like Wee Man, Preston Lacey, and Danger Aaron step up.
Exactly. And the stunts themselves reflect exactly where they are in their lives. These are men in their mid-50s now.
Right.
So the humor naturally, almost inevitably, shifts toward medical realities.
Oh, man, the medical reality. Because the new stunts are just, wow.
They're a lot.
They really are. If you've ever had a colonoscopy, you know all about that dreaded prep fluid.
Oh, yeah. It is designed to empty your system completely.
Exactly. So they literally chug colonoscopy prep fluid,
Which is already a terrible idea.
and then attempt to play a high-stakes game of Twister.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you can just imagine the disastrous mechanics of how that ends up.
Yep.
And then there's Larry.
Ah, Larry the robot.
Yes. They bring in this 4-foot humanoid robot, which is hilariously voiced by comedian Adam Ray, by the way.
He does a great job with it.
He really does. And the robot is there to give them a terrifyingly clunky prostate exam.
Right.
And of course, the robot uses chunky peanut butter as a lubricant.
Yeah.
It is just the most absurd juvenile thing you can imagine.
It is, but that absurdity actually serves a very specific purpose. The movie isn't trying to outshock the sheer scale of the previous films.
Right, it can't.
Exactly. Instead, it matches those past spectacles with vulnerability. It's a very raw, open look at aging, wrapped in extreme slapstick comedy.
It's surprisingly deep.
It really is. It shows their physical decline, but it also highlights this deep resolve to keep making each other laugh, even as their bodies break down.
Okay, so seeing these guys with gray hair laughing through a robotic prostate exam really makes you take a step back. I mean, we're looking at a massive, multi-million-dollar studio production today.
Oh, huge budget.
But the DNA of this franchise was born out of incredibly cheap technology and a total disregard for safety.
Which brings us right back to that 1998 footage you mentioned at the start of our deep dive.
Right, the Kevlar vest.
Exactly. The birth of the franchise is documented right at the beginning of this new film. It opens with that crudely shot home video.
He was so old.
It does, and it's so early in their history that the off-camera voices don't even call him Johnny Knoxville yet.
Wait, really?
Yeah, they call him by his given name, PJ Clapp.
Oh, that's so funny. Right. He's doing this bit for a skateboarding magazine called Big Brother,
Yeah.
and the whole pitch is just testing self-defense equipment on himself. No medics, no safety harnesses, just a Kevlar vest and some Hustler magazines to soften the blow of a bullet.
It's an incredibly dark, legitimately dangerous thing to do.
Totally.
But when Jeff Tremaine, who went on to direct all the Jackass films but was just an editor at Big Brother at the time, when he saw that raw footage, it completely shifted his worldview.
How so?
Well, he realized he was sitting on a gold mine of unique, extreme personalities that went far beyond the standard skateboarding videos of the era. That single, reckless clip birthed the entire franchise.
I get that, but I have to admit, I'm a little confused by the evolution here.
Okay, what do you mean?
Well, the whole appeal of early Jackass was that it looked like something I could film with my buddies in a backyard.
Right, the gritty aesthetic.
Yeah, they were using those cheap, grainy mini DV camcorders you used to buy at consumer electronics stores.
Oh, absolutely.
Doesn't bringing in a $10 million budget, ultra-high-definition 4K cameras, and a massive 60-person Hollywood crew instantly kill that DIY punk rock vibe?
That is a brilliant question, and it was actually the central tension of making these later films. Tremaine and his core crew actively fought against the sanitization that usually comes with a massive Hollywood budget.
Because it's so easy for things to get overproduced.
Exactly. As the productions grew, they had to work incredibly hard to protect that original spontaneity. And the turning point was hiring a special effects coordinator named Ilya Popov.
Wait, an effects coordinator, isn't that the exact opposite of spontaneity?
You would think so.
Yeah, how does a Hollywood effects guy keep things punk rock?
Because Popov wasn't there to create CGI or fake explosions, he was there to engineer safety that was invisible to the camera.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, which allowed them to execute their wild ideas practically without killing themselves. Let's go back to Steve-O's Poo Cocktail Supreme.
Oh, man. An iconic stunt.
Truly. You have a man strapped inside a porta potty full of waste being launched into the air on bungee cords.
Just a normal Tuesday.
Right. But if those cords snap or the trajectory is wrong, it's a fatal accident. So Popov's team calculated the physics, the tension, and the exact trajectory.
So they basically hid the math.
Exactly. By engineering that controlled, safe environment, it freed the cast to just be their chaotic selves. They didn't have to worry about dying, so their terrified, hilarious reactions were completely genuine.
Oh, that makes so much sense. So the engineering is just this invisible safety net. It allows the chaos to happen organically.
Exactly. And to capture that chaos, they began shooting their sets in 360 degrees.
Which you need when things are that unpredictable.
Right. With a 60-person crew, things get messy. If a cameraman starts reacting to a gross stunt and getting sick, Tremaine can instantly pivot a camera and film the crew throwing up.
Which they do all the time.
They do. The chaos is real. They just built a highly efficient Hollywood machine to capture it from every single angle.
And let's be real, capturing that chaos wasn't always easy, legally speaking.
Oh, not at all.
They spent their early years constantly battling authority. Let's not forget, back in the year 2000, Knoxville put on a striped escaped convict suit, slapped on some handcuffs, and went into a real hardware store, asking a very confused clerk for a hacksaw.
A stunt that ended exactly how you'd expect it to?
Yep, he was arrested. It caused a real police emergency. And MTV actually canceled the show because of it.
Which is wild to think about now.
It is. Though, funny enough, the crew just went out the very next day and filmed the stunt anyway while they were technically unemployed.
They just couldn't stop.
They really couldn't. But it wasn't just the network. Politicians were after them too. Senator Joe Lieberman launched a massive campaign trying to get them canceled.
Right, coming at it from a moral and public safety standpoint, claiming they were a danger to society and corrupting the youth.
Yeah. So think about the sheer volume of material that comes from that kind of environment. When you have a crew constantly filming in 360 degrees, battling politicians, getting arrested, and capturing completely unhinged reactions.
It creates a monumental challenge in the editing room.
It really does. How do Jeff Tremaine and his editors actually shape 25 years of raw, chaotic footage into a cohesive, final movie?
It's a massive undertaking.
Editing this movie sounds less like cutting a film and more like conducting an orchestra of chaos. They had to dig through decades of master tapes just to find the missing notes from stunts we thought we already knew.
That's a perfect metaphor. For this best and last retrospective, they didn't take the easy route.
What do you mean?
Well, they didn't just rip the old greatest hits off YouTube and slap them together. They went straight back to the original raw master tapes from the late 90s and 2000s.
Wow, literally pulling the source material.
Exactly. They took classic, iconic stunts and seamlessly spliced in completely unseen footage from those original shoots.
Which is an absolute goldmine for longtime fans. If you've ever watched a Jackass movie and thought you'd seen it all, the behind-the-scenes footage completely flips that script.
Oh, for sure.
There's a perfect example from Jackass 3. There's a famous stunt where Danger Aaron goes flying down a snow hill in a shopping cart and crashes brutally over a pool of water.
Oh, that looks so painful.
It was. He actually broke his neck on the landing. We've all seen that part. But what we didn't know until this new movie is that right after he miraculously got up from breaking his neck, he took 2 steps and immediately fell through a hidden trapdoor into a deep hole.
The irony is incredible. He survives the massive, life-threatening stunt only to fall victim to a secondary prank.
It's peak Jackass.
It really is. And the only reason they originally cut it was a technical issue. The lighting inside the hole was too dark for theaters back then. But now, with modern editing tools, we finally get to see it.
They also brought back legendary, wince-inducing moments from the very first movie. I'm talking about the crew intentionally giving themselves paper cuts between their toes and then dunking their feet into a fish tank full of rubbing alcohol.
Just hearing that makes me squirm.
It is so hard to watch. Oh, and notably, they negotiated a deal to include unseen clips featuring Bam Margera.
Right, ensuring his presence is felt in this final retrospective despite all the very public friction over the years.
Exactly.
That inclusion speaks to the underlying brotherhood of the project, which we'll get to. But the editing process wasn't just about finding old footage. It was also about navigating the intense censorship of the era.
Oh, the censors?
Yeah, the MPAA, the Motion Picture Association, which dictates whether a film gets an R or an NC-17 rating, was a constant adversary.
My absolute favorite behind-the-scenes trivia from our sources is their fight with the MPAA over a stunt involving Chris Pontius.
It's such a great story.
You have these high-powered studio executives at Paramount in incredibly serious, high-level negotiations over the most ridiculous things.
It highlights the sheer absurdity of their creative process. Tremaine had set up a stunt where Pontius was filmed by a super slow-motion camera, completely nude, using his anatomy to hit a ping-pong ball like a baseball bat.
Like you do.
Naturally. It was this beautifully lit, hyper-detailed slow-motion shot that lasted about 40 seconds.
But Paramount panicked. They told Tremaine the MPAA would slap an NC-17 rating on the movie immediately if they showed 40 uninterrupted seconds of full frontal nudity.
So they demanded a strict time limit.
Right. Tremaine pushed back, asking for a specific number, and the studio executives mandated exactly 10 seconds of exposure, not a frame more.
Which is an entirely arbitrary line for censorship.
Totally arbitrary. But Tremaine's solution to this is a masterclass in malicious compliance.
It really is brilliant.
Rather than cut the joke short or ruin the slow motion effect, Tremaine edits in a giant black censor bar over Pontius.
Which is funny on its own.
Yeah, but the bar slowly slides away just in time for the moment of impact with the ping pong ball, and then slides right back into place to cover him up.
It legally framed the joke within the studio's strict 10-second rule while simultaneously mocking the censorship itself.
It's perfect. But, while they were battling censors externally, the retrospective footage also reveals how their own internal boundaries, their personal lines of what went too far, were constantly shifting.
Oh, absolutely. Which brings us to the toy car X-ray.
Yes, for anyone who doesn't know, this is a classic bit where a cast member was supposed to insert a small toy car into their rectum and then go into a real medical clinic to get an X-ray, just to confuse the doctor.
Just a totally normal prank.
Right. Originally, Steve-O was scheduled to do it, but at the very last second, sitting in the van outside the clinic, he backed out.
Which is rare for him.
It is. And the reason why is actually really sweet. He called his dad, and his dad talked him out of it.
Which suddenly left the production in a terrible bind. They had cameras rolling, a clinic booked, and no stunt.
A total disaster for a film crew.
Yeah. But then Ryan Dunn stepped up to do it instead. And it's crucial to understand why he did it. It wasn't because he wanted to. He was terrified.
I mean, who wouldn't be?
Right. He did it because he saw Tremaine and the crew stressing out about losing the day's shoot. He declared that the bit simply had to get done for the good of the movie.
It's such a bizarre, yet completely genuine display of loyalty. He basically said, I don't want to do this, but I love you guys, so I guess I'm putting a toy car up my butt.
That is the exact sentiment, and it speaks volumes about the physical reality of doing this for a living. The extreme toll these stunts take on the human body is immense.
You can't do it forever.
Exactly. The original guys gave everything to these films, but they just can't take those kinds of massive hits anymore.
Which is exactly why the franchise had to bring in a new class of cast members.
Yeah.
The passing of the torch is so evident in Best and Last.
They really take a beating.
They do. They introduce younger cast members in the previous film, and here we see them really taking the absolute brunt of the punishment. Sean Poopies McInerney is definitely the new MVP.
The things he endures in this movie are staggering.
I mean, he undergoes these grotesque cosmetic lip injections using hyaluronic acid until his mouth swells up to look like a cartoon character.
It looks so painful.
And then he gets a literal dog shock collar attached to his anatomy. He really took a beating for this film.
And he isn't the only one stepping up. You have Zach Holmes, whose incredible physical mass is frequently used as a blunt implement for various stunts.
He practically launches himself at people.
He does. And you have Jasper Dolphin, who gets trapped in a tiny room and repeatedly headbutted by a live ram.
Pure chaos.
It is worth noting, however, that Rachel Wolfson, who broke ground as the first female cast member in the previous film, takes a bit of a back seat in this installment.
Yeah, she acts more as a supportive cheerleader from the sidelines this time around.
Right, but it's not just the new cast stepping into the line of fire. The celebrity guests in this movie are wild.
They really are. To survive a Jackass set as a guest, you have to have what Knoxville calls the right spirit. They can't have an ego.
Which is hard to find in Hollywood.
Totally. And they actually found that in Brad Pitt.
Which is incredible to think about when you consider the context. At the height of his A-list fame, when he was one of the biggest movie stars on the planet, Brad Pitt eagerly participated in a staged kidnapping outside of Pink's Hot Dogs in Los Angeles.
Purely for the thrill of being in on the joke.
Exactly.
They also got the legendary indie film director John Waters to show up. But, for every amazing cameo they pulled off, they're the legendary ones that got away.
The ones that were just too extreme.
Right. In our source materials, Knoxville finally revealed his ultimate white whale stunt, the one that never happened.
This is a fascinating story about the limits of Hollywood insurance.
It really is. So Dave England, one of the original cast members, only has one testicle due to a snowboarding accident years ago.
Right?
For 15 years, Knoxville's dream was to get Dave a prosthetic, light-up testicle surgically implanted.
A fully functioning, surgically implanted, illuminated prosthetic.
Exactly. But for a decade and a half, the Hollywood lawyers blocked it.
I mean, you can kind of see why.
Oh, for sure. Everyone from the studio executives to the surgeons demanded full legal indemnity. And Tremaine just couldn't clear the legal hurdles to perform elective, glowing testicle surgery on a major studio's dime.
As absurd as that story is, it actually points to the deeper meaning of this entire enterprise.
How so?
Well, if we look at the unintended cultural legacy of Jackass, it is truly fascinating. Today, there are thousands of YouTube creators who owe their entire format to the show.
Oh, absolutely. The prank culture is huge.
So many of them miss the point. They just hurt themselves for views. Jackass was a project that began in the late 90s as a complete rejection of the mainstream.
It was punk rock.
Yes, it was anti-establishment. But over 25 years, it has slowly morphed into a cultural beacon of healthy, affectionate male friendship.
It really has. These are guys who openly show physical love and affection for each other.
They do.
They hug, they cry, they comfort each other right after inflicting terrible pain. Because of that emotional openness, they've actually been warmly embraced by the LGBTQ+ community.
Which is such a beautiful evolution.
It is. Just recently, the cast rode their own float in the West Hollywood Pride Parade. Knoxville even talked in an interview about how joyous he felt jumping on top of a completely naked Chris Pontius during filming. It's a total dismantling of toxic bro culture.
This raises an important point about how art is perceived versus how it is intended.
Right.
The critical establishment's view of Jackass has completely flipped over the years. In the early 2000s, reviewers despised them.
He really did. They thought they were a menace.
They called them a sign of cultural decay. But today, highbrow critics write glowing essays comparing their physical comedy to silent film legends like Buster Keaton.
That is quite the pivot.
It is. One critic famously called the franchise a brilliant response to suburban ennui.
Suburban ennui. I love that because Jeff Tremaine actively hates when critics say things like that.
He really does.
He gets genuinely nervous when the reviews are too highbrow or too positive.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be considered high art. He wants to remain punk rock.
Exactly.
As he puts it, they aren't making a deep statement on society. They're just magnifying stupid.
And yet, in the process of magnifying stupid, they inadvertently captured something incredibly authentic, which makes this conclusion so powerful.
It is a really bittersweet reality that they're finally hanging it up.
It is.
In one of the retrospective interviews, Knoxville admitted that on the very last day of filming, he broke down and cried.
Yeah.
He compared the feeling of ending Jackass to putting down a dog you love. You know it's time, but it absolutely kills you.
That's heartbreaking. But they gave this franchise the ultimate final send-off. As the closing credits roll, playing over a beautiful montage of 25 years of memories, injuries, and laughter, the soundtrack plays the Rolling Stones song Shine a Light.
And getting that song was no small feat.
Not at all.
It's a deeply personal song for Mick Jagger, and he rarely licenses it for films. Knoxville personally sat down and wrote a heartfelt letter to Mick Jagger, explaining exactly what the song and this brotherhood of stuntmen meant to him.
And Jagger actually read it and said yes.
Which is amazing.
It's a beautifully poignant note to end on. But before we go, I want to leave you with a thought to mull over. We've talked a lot about how Jackass inadvertently captured male vulnerability.
Yeah, that emotional core.
But what if its ultimate legacy isn't comedy at all? Think about it. Jackass spans from the grainy VHS tapes of 1998 all the way to the ultra-high-definition 4K of today.
That's a huge technological leap.
Exactly. What if this franchise is actually the most accurate, unvarnished historical archive we have of how millennial bodies, boundaries, and friendships evolved before the hyper-curated, sanitized era of internet influencers took over?
Oh, wow. That's a really interesting way to look at it.
Right. Before everyone had a ring light, a brand deal, and a script, there was just a group of friends, a cheap camera, and an absolute willingness to bleed for each other's amusement. Think about that the next time you see a perfectly polished prank video.
And that wraps our ride through Jackass, best and last. If you enjoyed this episode, follow Roll Credits and share it with your fellow movie fans, and let us know what film we should cover next, old or new. We'll be back soon with more trivia, more movie magic, and hopefully a lot fewer trips to the emergency room.